You need a longer table.
You just don't want to put your knee next to mine, dude.
Do you have the leaf for this?
A what for this?
The leaf that goes in the middle?
Is that what that's called, dude? What are you, a carpenter?
What do you mean? No, I used to have a big family. And
you know about the centers of
dude.
tables? And
we had like 3 or 4 leaves that you'd put in.
That's scary. Let's get into this. Let's get into the video because you're already giving great content.
All right, let's talk about weed. I've seen this movie.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, I really put it on because I'm really pissed off at fucking the system. Because of like judges and shit. I don't know if you remember this movie's like, this is Traffic, by the way, if anyone's wondering, with Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, isn't it?
Mike, I forget who plays the...
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas plays the judge who's...
And his daughter is...
a drug addict.
A
piece of shit. And this judge kind of learned, because in the beginning he's like comes down on people. Like for selling drugs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I think like throughout the end of it, he like learns he's getting a promotion, and throughout his struggles with his kid, he like learns he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to be a part right here. So like they don't want to be a part of this, like the system of locking people up for drugs. And I think it's like an idea of no matter what.
When did this come out? In like the late 90s, early 2000s? Something like that?
No, I think probably like 06.
Okay.
Something like that.
So kind of going hand in hand with like the crime bill.
What's the crime bill?
I forget what they call it. In the 92, 93, 94 crime bill. I'd have to Google it.
Is that that's a Bush
It's like
thing?
mandatory minimums type shit.
Was that Bush?
I don't know if it was Bush or early Clinton. Clinton was at 96.
Have you ever heard this? Just like growing up hustling like we did. People OGs telling you like don't hustle during a election year. You ever heard that?
I have not heard that, no.
Well, I've heard that, and I'm like starting to kind of see that where like weird things are like happening during this year's election year. You're saying they're trying to
enforce laws?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, vote for me. I'm gonna make something better for someone.
Yeah, and they have judges in their pockets. They have local police chiefs in their pockets, and they like enforce certain laws when it comes to who wants to get the votes to be put in office. It's all fucking game. It's all fucking scam. And that's why I put this on. It was to like talk about that.
Did COVID wake you up to a lot of this? Like,
no,
we'll use any excuse to do anything to people.
So we were talking a little bit downstairs off air about my upbringing of like, didn't do good in school, but I had the gift of gab. So like when I was a kid, they'd be like, oh, you'd be in sales. Like you're going to do well if whatever. I was like that typical would do well if I like buckled down and finished through, which is a lot of that is true. But at the same time, I dropped out of high school and had to go through my own ups and downs of life to learn what I was going to do and whatever that was going to do to be the best at it. Yep. And those things have to do with like working hard, being honest and true, and kind of just dealing with whatever comes in front of you. And that's where I got into weed, because I was selling weed when I dropped out of high school. And then I moved to California in the Bay in 2010. So it was like, I just fell into all of it with weed stuff.
You're like the perfect time.
And then I slipped up, was like just moving too much stuff and got in trouble in Illinois. Just like bringing things back. I don't even think I've probably ever told you about that.
In trouble in Illinois? Were you driving through?
Yeah, I had like multiple pounds on me, and I had shatter at the time in 2014. So it was like
nice.
There was like
brand
crumble.
new.
Oh, bro, I was gonna make so much money.
You were
gonna
make a lot of money. Yeah.
Me and my buddies call it the Great White Buffalo. You ever seen Hot Tub Time Machine?
Yes.
And they're like Great White Buffalo. That was like always like Great White Buffalo. But
yeah, they were giving it away at the time. I mean, now they're giving it away now because there's too much of it. But
yeah, shatter. Like that was like what it was. Crumble.
You were like, wait a second. You want this much for flour, and this is like way more potent, and you want nothing?
And think about like rosin prices.
Yeah,
that's what you were getting for them back then, and we would still get them for the same price that we get them today.
Dude,
in California.
$200 an ounce.
Yeah. People get more too.
Yeah. But I'm saying from them.
Oh, dude, even cheaper. Even cheaper back then. Yeah, I was in like the Bay, so it was like different. Different time. And it was like really good shit for like growers in Humboldt that were just trying to get their shit off. But either way, and me and Jason Ortiz talked about this a bit. That was the guy from the last prison project I told you about. We had in here, and he asked me, he's like, if you had an opportunity to take a corporate job in this or whatever, would you take it? And my answer to that was like, I've already been through this, where I was on probation. And I was in merchandising. I worked at the screen printing place and like all these different things. But I fell on hard times, picked up selling weed again, talking to people, and just started making money. And then had a CBD store, and then COVID came. So my point is when I crumbled, when things caught up with me, that's when I learned. Okay. My eyes kind of opened up a little bit.
Right.
To like the system. I also was caught up in the system. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you a little bit on the Patreon or the Breakfast Club is what we're calling it on the website, like extra episode. Yeah. Exactly, like things that went on with the judge that will blow your mind for that case.
Yep.
My eyes just opened up a little bit throughout life, and like even with that gift of gab thing, I learned that you have to be true and honest and whatever.
Oh yeah.
But now I was telling you, like, it seems like the only way you could get by in any business is being fucking lying, conniving, and like pay off someone.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah. I think not that that's what I do, but I think that's very true, and you see it. I mean, foods we buy in the grocery store every day. There's no warning labels like on a pack of cigarette, but half the ingredients are illegal in Europe. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, why are they allowed here? Because they paid the FDA to allow it, and it makes their profit margins bigger when they sell you Doritos that make you want to eat more Doritos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're making them for free.
Yeah.
And charging you, inflated prices. It's like, dude, it's insane.
And we were talking a little bit downstairs with one of the members about just like people working 9-to-5 jobs and like how the early 1900s, like Rockefellers, like they like instilled in the youth to go to school and like basically be a machine from 7 to 3. Also have kids, right? Because that was the baby boomer thing, right? That was like also have babies, and so there's more workers, so there's more tax dollars, right?
Yeah, it's getting people just in line to do exactly what they're told, not think out of the box. You won't make it if you go off on your own and you have to work with somebody, right?
Yeah.
And it's creating a classes system pretty much, and then they make it impossible to get ahead.
We were talking too about like the middle class and how like kind of our parents were like part of a middle class that got fucked, and like nowadays our generation is more of like we want to be successful because we don't want to be poor.
Yeah,
that's like a different thing. It's like you can get by with a job and a family, whatever, but now I don't know. I feel this. It's like because I take care of my parents and have to take care of myself too, and like I'm lucky enough to have a creative type of mortgage, but like I'm more of like I have to just crush it, and it does motivate me, and I become successful because of that.
Yeah,
but like,
well, let's say this: how many hours do you think you work a week?
I probably
like just
6 days a week, 5 hours a day.
Just, but not counting like you're grinding and like you're just never stopping.
It's hard to compute because it's like every day. I don't like to think about not grinding.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's 168 hours in a week. From the moment you wake up, and what they've convinced people is like in a way, yes, it's bad in a way. They've convinced people, but you should be able to live off 40 hours a week. Go to this job, do this, do that. And then the people who are, I don't want to say making it, because you can work a 9 to 5 and definitely make it depending on what your job is. But the people like yourself, like myself when I was making Pine Tree and still, to this day, you never stop working.
There's I don't plan on stopping.
There's not like a point where you check out of your job. You're always working. And then, they're getting rid of the middle class by trying to convince people like you should be able to survive off this. It's your employer's fault, right? But if you're working for these mass corporations that want to work for you, they're paying the government to have you think the way you're thinking. And they're creating this classes system where, no one wins except the people controlling the system.
But like I'm saying, now it seems like the only class system is very successful, whatever that may be for someone. It could be money, it could be cars, it could be women, whatever. Or poor, which we look at as homeless. Or, this is interesting, how many people do like live with their parents and they're older? Like that's almost like not being successful either. But I try to tell people sometimes like what is successful to you, because that if you're happy with that and you could pull that off, and I think a lot of people are kind of like falling to that, and maybe falling's not the right word. It's more of like leaning to that because they can't get ahead. They can't get a mortgage. How many people our age can't buy a house?
Sure, but I think we're one of the only cultures that doesn't do that, like my best friend's Indian, and the way they live, the parents live with him, and before that his grandparents live with his parents, and it's the idea is that
we're talking now about American culture,
how it's been built to where you're now looking at it like, where's this come from, it's the idea is everyone needs a house. You can't live with your parents, or your parents can't live with you.
Right.
But you're saving money, and you're building something. And back to like your parents, and they were taught, we're still taught, work, try to save, and now there's too much stuff to buy. Netflix, all this stuff you can constantly buy. Like
and
you were talking earlier about
sold.
Your phone is probably the biggest problem. It's a distraction. It does help you, but it leads you on a path
of buying whatever was paying that phone.
So your parents or, people's parents or anybody of that age saved their whole life. Well, they were told to save, 40, 50 years ago. And now when they die, the government takes almost all their money. And if you owe any money, they take that out of the money they're going to give you.
Yeah.
It's the system is just...
And they're on a lot of... and what's crazy is like people have that discussion about healthcare too. Like my parents struggle so hard because of healthcare. They're diabetic. So like... The insulin problem is crazy. And it's like, because they were living here for a while, and then now we got them a new place in Connecticut. And like that, I remember when they were telling me how like tough that was for them. And I was like, how, dude? I was like, we're just moving. And it's like, no, like it's
a whole new system.
Bro,
whole new healthcare, whole new insurance.
Money, like life and and they're on a fixed income, obviously.
Right. And so that thing is crazy. And I don't know if you have health insurance yourself and you pay for it. I don't have health insurance, but my wife and my two sons do. And I pay for it, right?
Right.
It's crazy expensive because it seems like if they have a bad year where like they went to the doctors a lot, the next year it's more money, Yeah.
And I'm like, how insurance works,
money.
Right?
It's insane. The more you use it, the more it costs.
It's a fucking scam.
But what's crazy is it costs that much because, and I'm not giving my opinion on the healthcare system, but I can't shop around for insurance from Maine or New Hampshire or Massachusetts.
Right.
I have to get it from the one state that I live in and reside in. Yep. And that's where they have like a monopoly, even though there's multiple insurance agencies, right? So it's not a monopoly. But who owns them? If you look at the board, it's all, BlackRock, Vanguard. They own the percentage of the company via stocks.
So now bringing it back to weed, like I was telling you, I'm watching Boardwalk Empire.
Yes.
And kind of like getting entertained by like the glorification of prohibition, and luckily that show's so cool. It's the guys who wrote Sopranos. I don't know if you knew that.
Okay, yeah.
And then Scorsese was behind it too. So like, but they did such a good job of making it be more of a period piece of like individuals going through that time, and then obviously glorifying the people who were selling booze and taking advantage of prohibition during that time. So it's so fascinating to me when I watch it, the political side of it, where not much has changed, especially in the cannabis world, where it seems like these people who are getting by, and you could say it's dispensaries, you could say it's whatever, but you pay someone off, you have to lie and sneak your way into being the first ones to market.
You heard
is
about
what everyone
the
wants
mayor
to be.
of New Bedford?
No.
I think it was, New Bedford.
Are you sure? Fall River? Fall River, the young guy?
Yeah, you heard about that, right?
Absolutely.
Like, it's happening still. It's still happening today.
I've been told
Nothing's changed.
I won't say it, but there's things locally that are still run by organized crime and things like that.
For sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We talked about Boardwalk Empire, and then we talked about the Kennedys, right?
Right.
And I think for me, in what you're saying, it's like these people went through a struggle where what they were doing was illegal, and then now that like the Kennedys are a household name.
Right.
Is that going to happen for this generation? I don't know, because there's too much control and power now. Like you're saying, they're going to towns and they have more money than me, more money, to go and buy a license.
Yeah. They buy more than a license too. Right. They buy political power. And I know that's just like a kind of a vague way of putting it, but it's like you could do so much with that. You can, and it's they have they're buying the ability to be patient and be comfortable in patience, being like, no matter what, I'm taken care of because I have dirt on them, or like.
You want to hear something crazy that happened in Maine recently in the last week?
Yeah, so, please.
You know how their new thing, and I mean it's probably all over the country, but in Maine it's like, we're going after the Chinese.
Yeah, I saw that. Grows, right? They went after a couple grows.
Okay, so the governor of Maine, her name is Janet Mills. Her brother was the lawyer for one of the Chinese people who secured a house in Maine that they were illegally growing in, right? And it's
no way.
And we can jump down rabbit holes, but I'm just saying that's.
But did you even see the size of those grows? They were tiny.
Yes. Oh yeah.
But I was told that, and I don't know if this is conspiracy or not. I was told that that's the way they do it. Is that old style of what we know of, like, you know, if you were a successful grower in the '90s, you had like 25 spots, right? And there was like 6 lighters.
Yeah. Or they filled up every room. You know?
They're taking advantage of space spread out. Is what I was told that's the thing, because those grows weren't that big, but
no,
it's.
The whole house, though.
They're just owning everything, and especially in a place like Maine where they're so big.
Yeah.
It's like they could just be spread out. They're used to trafficking.
I just wish, you know,
that's extremely corrupt, though.
Yeah, but well, yeah, and it's like, you know, last week came out. Oh, the governor's brother was a lawyer for one of these.
So that could be ties to organized crime and the Asian mafia.
Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah,
you know, so the thing is, though, is why are they going after someone growing a plant that has never killed anybody?
So try to answer that question. Try to answer the question yourself.
Control. Just control money, profit, you know.
Of an entity, or like, that's why I go back to that prohibition thing. That's what they did then.
Well, so you're not very far along. They just made alcohol illegal, right?
Yeah, I'm like, the dude, Jimmy, just moved to Chicago.
Okay.
The girl just got sliced.
Yeah, okay. All right. So
I'm still early in.
When it comes back to prohibition getting like turned over.
Oh, they do? I didn't even know they do that.
Eventually. So it doesn't become necessarily.
This is so cool, because I don't even really know the history.
It becomes the picking and choosing of winners, right?
Interesting.
Like who? Like they know about it beforehand, and then it becomes a political thing, and they're voting for these people. Dude, it's crazy. The history of prohibition is what America is built on, I would say.
And it's that thing we were talking with Josh downstairs about, being a worker at a job and feeling the way they're breeding you to feel.
Bro, we're ants in an ant farm.
Yes.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like the more that we should know we're ants in an ant farm, the more divided people get. So we can't come to the common idea that, like, we're getting screwed over.
So now, do you think that because there is a wide majority of people in the weed industry that are entrepreneurial, and they grow groups, and then they go against the big businesses. Do you think that's because of like phones and internet today? Because I think that our generation.
What do you mean exactly?
So I think our generation is doesn't take the bullshit as much anymore, because we're hip to information, and it's quickly, like, we could see through bullshit better. Like, good example is the Kennedy assassination. Like, now it's coming out because there's so much information that even something 70 years ago they can't hide anymore.
You're saying like the CIA was involved?
Yeah, or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. The government, in whatever capacity. But, you know, nowadays, I think there's a lot of people that are hip to the dispensaries and what they're doing, and they're able to be independent, more independent thinking. And that's kind of why not that many people get gobbled up by the system, even though they still are arresting people for weed. But it's like there's lanes for independent gifting, you could call it, of like cannabis in different ways. And that dispensaries do make money, but they look at these people selling weed, doing these little gatherings, and they're like trying to use their political power to stop them.
So that's what's happening in Maine right now. They're trying to make it so you need a license to go to an event. So the event first needs to get a license to have the event, and then I need to go to the state, the regulated board. It's called OCP in Maine. I have to go to them to secure a license to go to the event, and I have to pretty much like metric keep track of what I'm bringing. And it's like, hey, I run a business. Guess what? I keep track of inventory already. Like that's something I do. And when I bring it and when I back, I keep track of the revenue and the profits, and I pay my taxes. Why do you want this license? Because it's a way to make money off of us. It's going to be $50, $100.
But if they wanted to make money off of us, well, shouldn't they make it more of a free market, or is that just an ignorant thing to say?
Well,
when it comes to what we're talking about how these things really work.
So you can go into a store and buy cigarettes, right? Could you grow tobacco behind your house?
Technically,
and
no,
dry it?
But isn't technically you're not allowed to grow tomatoes?
I have no idea about that. But my point is when something becomes, and I guess cigarettes is a bad example. Alcohol would be a better one. So prohibition ended, and you could go out and buy it. You couldn't homebrew until 1978, I think, 1980, federally legal. And then there's some states, because obviously the 10th Amendment, dry counties, this and that. My point being is cannabis is never going to be legal how we want it to be if we vote to legalize, right? There's going to be these barriers to entry that are going to be put in place. You're still going to get in trouble if you have an illegal amount on you. You couldn't have.
They want to put you in the system and lock you up and get that more money. Yeah,
it's never going to change. It's going to be different penalties that you get in trouble for. It's not going to be. You're going to still have illegal possession. You're going to have. It's not going to change.
But that's the weird thing about alcohol, right? Like if I get.
Well, so
if
use
I have
moonshine.
a keg in my car,
use moonshine.
Is that wrong? If I'm bringing it to a party?
I think you'd probably have to have like a receipt or something.
I don't think so. I think you can fucking buy a keg and bring it to a party.
Sure.
But why can't you like buy a quarter pound or a half pound and bring it to a party?
And then give out free weed?
Yeah.
Essentially? Like if you want to do that?
How many people do get kegs and sell $5 cups?
I mean, that happens too. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just think, I don't know. And then I try to like take a deep breath and ease back and be like you were saying, like we're no matter what, we're playing cops and robbers, especially in this industry, and even though we're legit, it's like, well, you're still playing cops and robbers because like they still want to get, and in general, if you're an American citizen and just like a simple middle to lower class person, it seems like you're playing cops and robbers.
Well, so here's my thing.
I don't know.
I would think there's a third person involved because they are the cops and they are the robbers. We're just the good people. Like, you know what I mean?
Man, you should run. Dude, you should figure out that those little hiccups you were talking about, you should do some political thing.
They want to get you, they want to allow you to do something and hope you get in trouble, So the cops are watching the whole time, and especially now the way it is.
I wish someone that was running for president just said that statement. You should write that down.
The cops are watching you the whole time, and then no matter what money you make, the government's going to rob you for it all, Like we have a special tax code, dude, where you can't deduct employee labor that went towards making a sale. So people go into the stores like, oh, stores are so expensive. And it's like, dude, because all those people inside that brick and mortar building that they're paying property tax on or rent on or insurance on.
And they raise it all the time.
Yeah. So you go in and that person's there 40 hours a week. It's not a tax deduction. So you have to add the deduction that you normally would get onto the price of the product. So who are you they're screwing everybody. And then some of these states and municipalities, like you can't grow in your house. So you have to go to a store and pay too much for something.
Yeah.
And so this is my argument for the consumer. As a cultivator and a business owner, it's like I think there should be value to it where I can stay in business and I can employ people. And it's a double-edged sword, I don't know how I honestly feel about it. I think that these taxes need to be fixed so the consumer can get it for less. Realistically.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's well said, man. Mikey for president.
Yeah, but they're the cops and the robbers. And we're just we the people trying to be free.
Damn, dude. Mark that.
Like
Lucas, mark that for a clip. That's good. Yeah, I think you're totally right too about what you were saying about how they try to put you in the system and they're still just trying to lock people up. Like people are talking about like the whole fucking. So many people like shout out Jason with the Last Prisoner Project again. I like those guys. Yeah. I'm never usually like very like into the whole prohibition thing because I'm out here like not prohibition. Sorry, the like advocacy of like freeing people and stuff because I go through it myself. I have priors and like I am hustling. I'm doing whatever I got to do. So sometimes I'm like just keeping my fucking head down. But I like what they are doing and they give a lot of info out, basically saying and they're. The Biden administration wants Last Prisoner Project so bad. If they were able to get Last Prisoner Project on their side, it'd be so huge for them. Yeah. But like they're going at him so hard. Joe Biden's a liar.
Yeah, and he signed the whatever that crime bill is they were talking about, the 94 crime bill.
Yeah, so
he signed it. He was a huge
We have 5 minutes left on this first one. Please explain the crime bill again, and then we'll
so
end it with that.
It pretty much just set mandatory minimums, right? Like
with drugs.
Yes, with pretty much drugs. A bunch
Whatever
of other
is
things.
classified as the 1, 2, and 3, right?
The 3-strike rule.
That's no. I'm saying that like what are like. Everything that's classified.
No, I mean
scheduling.
If you get caught with a certain amount of crack, you automatically do 7 years. But
is that still in effect?
I'm pretty sure, yes, it is.
The fuck, bro.
So I mean, I read this thing. The Jungle Boys actually posted it. Not whatever. I saw it on the way here. That there's somebody who got caught with. I want to say it was 2 grams in Louisiana
from Last Prisoner Project.
35
years. All over. They're all. I know. Yeah, and it was an undercover cop, and they just saw his trial again or something. They're putting more years on it or something, right?
I have no idea. I literally just saw a little thing, and I'm like, that's crazy. Now, two sides to it is there seems to be laws in place, and people don't know the laws, you know? Yeah. And it's like, oh, no, you're going to be held accountable to a law you didn't know existed, you know? Imagine you were driving through Louisiana. And I don't know, you know, at the time where marijuana, cannabis, weed may have been legal or illegal. But, you know, you're driving through the state, you get pulled over, and they harass you, and they're like, oh, they find 2 grams of weed, and you go to jail for more than a year? Like, you do jail time?
Dude, you're talking more than a year. The people are going away still.
That was 35 years is what he got. Because he had a prior drug charge.
Yeah, the system, what we're talking about.
Yeah, and this is the
he could have prior speeding. Dude, he could have prior speeding tickets, and the judge could be like, you keep getting pulled over, and this time you're with drugs, you need to learn.
What do you learn, though? Like, how does that help anybody out?
No, nonviolent crimes, you should never go to jail, like you said.
Nonviolent crimes,
and they should go through treatment, and that's why I was talking to this. I'm going to give you his card if you're ever going through Connecticut too.
And the other reason that if you're not violent and you go to jail, they put you with violent people.
Yeah,
there's not a wall. You know, like I was telling you my buddy's story, and we're not going to get into his story because it's his story, but like. You have to become someone you're not when you go to jail for something that isn't, in my opinion, something you should go to jail for. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, my dad always used to tell me I always thought he was just being a fucking dad, like being a dick.
Well, of course.
Like, he just, you know, whenever we would get in trouble or whatever, he'd be like, the only thing I'll tell you is you just don't want to be in the system. So, like, that's why you shouldn't get in trouble. That was, like, his way of trying to teach me to not get into trouble. He was like, trust me, you don't want to be in the system.
Dude, every system the government wants to control or has control of isn't to fix anybody, you know, like the healthcare system that the government pretty much monitors and wants complete control.
So it's like they just want to get you.
Yeah. Right? Do you know anybody that works at hospitals? I have good friends that are patients of mine that used to be nurses and work in hospitals, and they're like, dude, I wasn't helping anybody. I was just keeping them so they'd come back for something different. Yeah. And it's a money pit, dude. And how isn't there a conflict of interest between that whole system and the jail system too? You know, I'm not going to get in between private and public jails because I don't think who runs it's ever going to be a thing. It's a for-profit system. You know, like who do you think is lobbying for the crime bill in '94?
Right.
People who own jails. You know, like it's insane, dude.
Yeah, man.
And I don't know. I don't know what you do. I have no idea what you do to fix any of it. It sucks.
Yeah, I mean the thing I've learned from you though, because you're very vocal about it, and something I was telling you too. I bet you a lot of people are like think you bleed red. Right, and it's like not.
No.
Right, and that's what like it's people are very quick and
red,
easy.
White, and blue. You know.
Right, and like you said, like we the people, as in like we have like certain freedoms, and they.
Yeah, well, it's all of us, collective.
Right,
and they've been working on dividing us forever,
and especially in this cannabis industry, it's like it seems like they've been doing it, but I was saying, it seems like these smaller communities are. Getting hip to it, you know, starting to like see through the bullshit. And I think that's why it's a little bit different than prohibition. But we'll end this one and we'll get into the Breakfast Club pod. And thank you, man. This is what I was expecting. And I told you, I texted you, I was like, I'm fired up, and I want to like fucking talk to you about some shit. Yeah, because I'm getting a little older. We got this legal business in New York now, but I'm still doing my thing, and I want to be safe. And something that we've talked about, it's like we're always criminals. You know, especially in the space, even if we're trying to do the right thing.
That people have no idea exist. A good friend of mine told me one time that on average, American citizen breaks 4 felonies a day and has no idea.
Right.
Yeah. What's that about, dude?
It's a good point. And that's going to be my lesson for everyone before we end here is lawyer the fuck up.
Yeah.
Or at least learn.
Yep.
You're the fucking man. What up? Breakfast Connections blunts. Here. You see them here. I'm smoking the cat piss one right now. Futurola hemp cones. I've been smoking blunts for 15 years. I love blunts. I put dank in Dutches every day. I wanted to put a product out in the legal market that was a piece of me. That's something that I like, and also like my people who are buying, like I said, buying eighths, popping up a tube to smoke a blunt when they're golfing, hanging out with their buds, don't have time to roll. The people who work in those office jobs, nurses, accountants, people who just come home, they don't want to roll, they just want to pop it open, get a good effect, a good burn. The thing about these is they're packed by hand by our homies Revert up in Saratoga Springs in New York. This is legal in the New York market. You can get them in, I think, 5 dispensaries now that we're in New York. And we'll list them here. Royal Flower, Northern Lights Dispensary, Upstate Canico, Legacy Dispensary. I think those are the ones we're in right now. We have a couple more coming online down towards Poughkeepsie and White Plains and that whole area. We're going to be getting into the city soon. Like I said, this is dank flower from Revert, hand stuffed in a Futurella hemp cone. I would never put a blunt out on the market that I didn't like. I've been putting good weed in Dutch's my whole life. This is good. It's affordable. It's just flower in a blunt, not like all those other brands that have keef and hash and it's like $40, just 1 gram in a blunt. It gets you where you need to be, gets you stoned. It tastes good. It just checks all the boxes, and we wanted to make it affordable for the everyday end consumer, which is what we do on this podcast. That's what I know this is an interruption on this podcast, talking to a nice guest, someone who's in the community, building the bridge between the end consumer, smoking these blunts. Best way to support Breakfast Connections, Rosin Press Pod. Like, review, subscribe, comment, and buy some of these blunts when you're out in New York. My New Yorkers, we're just getting out there fresh and new. We've been getting great reviews on these things. We appreciate your support. I'll spark one of these up right now. That lighter doesn't work. That's embarrassing. Like I said, it burns nice. This is the cat piss right here. It's funny, like out in New York, hearing people. It's a legendary strain. I got it for effects. Knocks you out. Tastes good. Dank. Fumey. People are like, cat piss. I'm like, yeah, get cultured. These things burn nice. No canoe. Tastes good. Get you high. Affordable. Check us out at these dispensaries you see below. Breakfast Connections, Rosin Press Pod. Moving forward. We love you. Thanks for all support. Now back to this episode. The permanent marker.
Dude, we need to realize that we may disagree on little things, but the greater good for the future, I think one of the biggest things too, and I said it to you guys last time I was here, I think the importance
Remember that.
Of are we recording this right now?
Yeah, dude. I do it on the fly because we're so cool. Like I said, it's like
so.
It's real, dude. This podcast is so real.
This is like
it's so real.
I don't want to be controversial per se, but going with the idea of government controlling our minds or our opinions, right? So we all are good citizens, right? You know, go to school, finish school, get a job.
Yeah.
And then it used to be like get married, have kids. The get married, have kids has been pushed away. It's a division thing now. It's like, oh, I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. I don't need to be traditional, you know? But I feel like the people pushing that is the government for the sole purpose of just literally separating us as a tax ID number. That's all.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're not
They want to take your freedoms away because that's big business.
You're not a parent. You are a tax ID number, and you better give
Taking
us all
our freedoms
money.
away is big business. Which one? The permanent marker or the RS11? Those
Up
two?
to you, dude.
I'm going to do this one.
Okay.
I don't know which one that is.
RS11.
Nice.
Actually,
dude, these are fucking beautiful.
I took a video of it, and my
feel
buddy
so
was
special
like,
on podcast days because you bring it down. When I come visit you up there, it's always like, you know, I'm just another medical patient up in Maine. When you bring it down to show the people, and I do appreciate you because you know my people appreciate it so much.
Yeah. No, I hear
you. They're blown away by these beautiful.
Well, it's crazy. This is obviously the second time I've done this, but also it just so happened to line up with a new harvest coming out of the dry room.
Beautiful serendipity.
Yeah, and again, it was permanent. It was pretty much the same room last time.
You said
Gary Payton,
and we could go back, and I'm almost positive you said that on the pod that we did because you're like, we'll have these, and it's another run of it. So it's actually kind of cool because it was cereal milk, permanent marker,
Crostata,
RS11. I don't think you had the Crostata. You didn't have that or the Mafia Funeral. That was beautiful. What is that?
It's a sunset sherbet crossed with biscotti sundae.
Oh, we're gonna have to smoke that one next.
It is good. The name doesn't do it justice. I wish.
Yeah, it's so funny.
People are like, "What's that?" Every time. What is
in my trigger, in my brain, that's why I just said that. I was like, "What is that?" I want to know more because like I don't really care.
Yeah.
But now once you said that, then it matters.
So I'm liking the outcome of this run better than the very first run I did with it. Dude, she's a yielder. Like, I don't know if you saw the pictures of like just the massive colas. That was that.
Yeah, I mean, that's
insane.
That's a norm.
It's like,
when I see your rooms on Instagram.
And then this one
shout out at Pine Tree Apothecary on Instagram. You like that, dude?
I like it.
See, I'm like, we could have fun on this one. This is behind the paywall. Who cares? Yeah. People who are listening to this had to pay $2 hairs to even be able to listen and hang out with us on this one. Really? These are our real members. These are the real. You could talk your truths, bro. Speak a truth.
Oh boy,
get a truth out there. Speak your truths.
I like green weed. No, there's actually purple strains that I love. Yeah. It's just I wish there wasn't. I wish the idea of weed was the experience and not the appearance. That's what I wish.
Yeah, that's fucking another one. Clip it,
dude. I've grown some ugly ass flowers that I was just like, oh my god. And you know what I said? No one's gonna buy this. No one's gonna buy it.
Yeah. You know? Remember I told you about that strawberry cream cheese we did? That we did the little breeding project? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That one, that was the best. All my weed sucked. I'm not going to lie. Like, all the ones that we tried to do and name and everything was like, it sucked. But the numbers...
What do you mean by that, though?
So we had a GMO slurricane with accidental pollination into a Thin Mint Girl Scout cookie.
Okay. Wow.
2012. That's the strawberry cream cheese. But the number 2 that I chose from it was something I called breakfast cake. And... there was like a thing I was going with the new breakfast. The reason that we're Breakfast Connections is that this place, when we bought it, was my parents lived here, and I was doing the medical thing growing here. Yeah. And because I sold my CBD business to put the money as a down payment for this place. Yeah. And so me and my buddy Lur, shout out Lur, when we were building it, we had accidental pollination, so we ran it as a breeding project as our first thing. Okay. And then we took those seeds and pheno-hunted them, and that's where we had all these selections, right? Yep. And I had like a good yielder that was like a triple triangle Kush, something from Humboldt. I don't even remember, to be honest. Okay. And then there was a higher. We had a strain we called Gasosa that was like a high CBD strain that was also 14% THC, and it tastes like lemon limes. That I lost. Awesome. That's awesome. Sucked. Yeah, no, I lost it. But we just had to have space in the room, so we put the number 6 in there. Yeah. Right? And it was a low yield or whatever, but it was like the breakfast cake, but it was a different phenotype. And I gave it to my buddy Lucas, who you met. Remember my producer? Yeah. So I gave it to him because he was a patient of mine at the time. And he was like, what the fuck is this? And he was like, smoking. I smoked it with him, and I was like, what? This is crazy. It was like some special crazy weed. Really and then when I hit did sessions in Connecticut and hit this new brand, Breakfast Connections, out there, because me and Skylar would drive up here and get like croissants and shit at this place called Ashlon Coffee Shop in Old Saybrook. And that's how we did it. Yep. We would get up early, grind, and do this pheno hunt, and like would do our tastings with like breakfast stuff. That's how we became Breakfast Connections in a sense. Right. And but my point is that special one was something that we weren't trying to find. Of course. You know? And I think I went on a little rant there, but it was like...
So when you said it was shitty, though, did it not look good? But it smoked amazing?
I don't know. It was everything. It literally, dude, it was everything. Yeah. And I don't have it anymore. I lost that one too, but I still have seeds from the pheno hunt where we found it.
Now, so I'm definitely... taken advantage of when I see something pretty, a pretty flower. I'm like, oh my God, I want to have it. Right. I want to see it. But for me, it has to smell good and taste good. But if you take away the appearance, it still can taste good and smell good. And it, yeah, I'm guilty of definitely being like, oh my God, it's so pretty. I want it. But that's because it's like people need that. And you can hunt some stuff and find some ugly ass strains that taste amazing.
Yeah, the real way to find strains is to take your time.
The pitch you get.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like you show that to somebody who wants a permanent marker.
Oh my God, dude! I think I sold them CBD weed.
They're like, what is this? What is this? Yeah, and then you're like, hey, they had to grow that almost twice as long.
Yeah. And it's like super sought out genetics. It's rare.
They don't know what it is, and it's sad because it's like, hey, not everything has to be super pretty to be amazing for you.
An experience with cannabis. And that's why it's a lot of middlemen. Those people are hustlers. They want candy because that's what the consumer wants. And I know a lot of people that just go with what the consumer wants. Yep. And you're a taste maker. Mm-hmm. I'm a taste maker too. The interesting thing is I don't grow weed anymore. So for me, I'm a storyteller. You've known that since you've met me.
Yeah.
And like, I'm very much into that. But with my end consumers, it's like, why do they trust me? You know, I'm a talker and people like me and stuff, but like, they're like, oh, what is he trying to sell me? So for me, I always have to have the right product.
You're selling them an experience and they want to come back with and enjoy. Like, that's why you do, you know, what you're doing.
Exactly. The events and even this podcast and all that stuff. It's something more.
Yep.
You know, like people can get,
and back to the whole phone thing.
Yeah.
That's literally, the phone has taken away that, you know, away, like everyone.
It used to be the way to do it. It used to be the way to be independent.
My friend actually said to me yesterday, he was, cell phones for our generation and younger has made us all very alone. You know, people don't go out and meet new people.
Take risks.
Take risks. Yeah, take risks. Yeah. And it's sad. And I know, like, obviously there's like all these apps on there to meet new people, but you get what I'm saying.
I do.
And it is, because it's like, I don't know, I remember being a kid and being in the grocery line, and, you know, obviously I'm not talking to strangers. I'm a little kid. I'll be with my grandmother, and she'd just talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Now you're in the grocery line, and I do it.
That's how I make money.
I'm on my phone.
That's like a way that people got by.
Yeah, I'm on my phone. But like most of the time, either I'm on my phone dealing with, you know, patients and caregivers and whatnot.
Yeah.
Working almost all the time. Or, you know, I'll be on Instagram. You know, looking at posts that I posted and messages.
Yeah, and they control that shit, so they'll like tell you how to think. They'll tell you what to like, how to consume, a bridge for you to make a purchase. Yeah. Like fast food. Like fast food's so successful. Why? Do you know why?
Because it's fast.
Yeah, and you don't have to get out of your fucking car, dude. It's amazing. It's for the modern day American.
I would love.
It's a beautiful
you
thing.
know how we do the whole patient.
They're pieces of shit, but it's right on the. Like, they're the New York Yankees of like capitalism. It's fast food like companies. You know what I mean?
You know, with COVID was horrible, and it was a horrible thing that happened and it affected a lot of people.
Yeah.
But the whole like car side to go is phenomenal.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like before COVID happened, you couldn't necessarily just go order your groceries ahead and have them bring it out to you to your car.
Yeah, curbside.
Like curbside wasn't huge. You know, I mean, you'd go to like different restaurants and they would bring you out your food. But like, I feel like COVID made the whole like not interacting with people. And I know I said I think it's a bad thing, but in essence, like you almost can't stop. I know, like, oh, I sound like a hypocrite almost. You can't keep progressing with the technology we have and not have it get more antisocial.
Right.
Like there's gonna be robots doing these jobs. You know.
So let's try to take it back, because we've had a lot of discussions on this pod of like going back of our roots and like seeing how it's like kind of similar to today. So let's try to like do it with this concept, where I think that you could make a lot of money now, and there's an avenue for like I literally make money, and you're watching me do it, for a membership club for people to come together and smoke weed, and it's tough because in a market of buying, selling, whatever, the whole weed interaction of purchase, they take it and they go home. They do the opposite. So I think I'm going to be successful, and I'm paving a road for myself for like private clubs of social interaction.
Oh, I think it's huge.
You know, and that is coming from an era and a thing you're trying to prove, as in this new generation is the opposite. Yep. It's the new fast food type of thing. You know, it's to your door. You don't even have to get in your car anymore. But my point is going back to our roots. What was the things during when they, you know, what would it be? The printing press, the railroad, during things that like changed America, and like, or even fast food in the 50s and 60s, where like, was there like a certain diner you'd go to that was like more personable? Like, what are the things that were successful back in the day that were opposite of the norms, that were changing the way that Americans like live their everyday lives when it came to consumption?
I think movies.
Yep, movies and music probably.
Like that progression over the last 100 years has like skyrocketed. People having TVs in their house.
Yeah.
But if you think about
I was like, that's the radio to the TV
when you
thing.
say go back, it's like every time technology is allowed or created, I should say, that ends up in your house, now you're not going to go to the movie theater. You're gonna, or you're not going to go to what do they have, pictures on the screen?
Man, they're making us like robots then.
But here's the thing, and what I don't want to sound like what I said was like technology moving forward, like it's going to make us all more separated.
Yeah.
I don't think people actually want that. I think that's an outcome. And where you come into play and what you're saying is working is because people are longing to meet people,
absolutely,
and hang out and talk and have those interactions and those connections. They don't want to be necessarily stuck in their house streaming movies and videos and doing that. They want to get out and go out and meet people for sure.
Yeah, sorry, I heard a loud bang. I wanted to make sure everything was good down there.
I think I tried to open up a hookah lounge in Maine.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Such crazy. Well, my idea was get a hookah lounge, get the setting, get the license, have it built up, and have. I wanted to create lounges, individual lounges, and then a bar, like a coffee bar, smoothie bar. But individual lounges where it could be opened up or be secluded. If you wanted to go in for your friends, whatever. But my goal is to eventually have it so once they were allowing cannabis lounges, I could convert or do both because I have the individual sections, right? And then the indoor smoking laws are so strict in Maine, can't do it anywhere. I'd have to buy a place that was open before 2000.
Yeah, they get grandfathered in. That's like most. I think smoking lounges in general, you have to have that.
Well, here in Rhode Island. In Providence, they have 23 hookah lounges.
But they also changed the laws here, too.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. But there's ways around it. I mean, if you just know zoning laws, you can get around it. As long as you're like, you could smoke indoors. You actually can. But you just have to be on top of everything else. You can't have they could come at you. It's just like anything. It's just like the conversation we've been having this whole time.
Yeah. But the thing that's insane, man, is like, I forget what we said earlier about your parents moving to Connecticut and the whole health insurance medical thing being totally different.
Yeah.
Because it's a new system, right? So
we're talking about medicine that
200 miles
keeps them
away,
alive.
Yeah, 200 miles away, though, no hookah lounge. Or not even, if you go border to border, 50 miles from Rhode Island, no hookah lounges. In Rhode Island, Providence, tons of hookah lounges.
Yeah.
And it's like, why is the idea that I'm an adult and I can make a decision such a bad thing for the government to allow people to do? It's like, I want to go inside this building right now. It says indoor smoking, hookah lounge.
Yeah.
Why are you going to ban people from going to do it? And that's going to be the biggest feat. And I love it. I think if you can find the right spot and do a lounge and do this whole thing.
It's tough to do it without selling weed there. Like, it's tough to do it without, like, a dispensary license.
Have you heard of Summit Lounge in Worcester?
Yeah, I know Summit Lounge.
Yeah. Even that whole
They don't sell weed there, though. But
they don't.
I don't think they make money.
And
shout out you guys. You guys are awesome, pushing the envelope and everything. But I know awesome. This. I know this business.
But like,
I don't think they're making money.
But the shit
they make money off milkshakes.
The shit they went through to be open.
Yeah,
there's bars all up and down the next street over, or the same street. Bars everywhere.
Right.
So people 21 years old can go in a bar, drink as much alcohol, before they get shut off that they want. But you can't go to inside a building and
and comparing to alcohol, I say this all the time, and I've been dealing with social consumption every week for like almost 2 years now. And what
do you mean?
I've been when you're
with your friends.
No, I'm saying that like doing these weed events.
Okay.
Comparing it to alcohol, because like you have to. The number one thing is you have to be on point with people who consuming and driving home. Even if you're not providing them the cannabis, that's like a thing. You have liability at your place.
100%.
So like the difference between alcohol, like this is what we learn in the biz. Mike, I'll tell you the things I've learned in the biz.
Just like New York related?
No, I don't know. I'm just making jokes. But with alcohol, you drink, and all you want to do after you start drinking is drink more, and you never want to go home. With weed, people start smoking too much, they want to stop, and they have to go home.
Oh, for sure.
It's very tough to make money, is my point. So you can't really compare it to a bar. You learn that very quickly. That's what I'm saying. I'm joking about the biz. That's like anyone who's like talking about it. That's where I'm lucky enough to where I went through some struggles with doing the club stuff. Is like you have to learn that. You're like, oh, it's gonna make money. Duh. Yeah, lounge and club for like weed. People want that. They don't. They actually. It's a lot for young parents who don't want the stigma of weed. It's a lot for introverts that want to get an opportunity to go out and meet people because they can't go to a bar because they're too weird.
For sure.
So there's so many different things when it comes to social consumption of cannabis compared to social consumption of alcohol. And my point is my place is usually clean when they leave. There's never any fights, and there's like overall like love and
I've seen it.
Affection
it's
to
great.
it. Yeah.
You're appreciated.
Absolutely. And I'm not even just appreciated. People appreciate each other as members, you know, and even with us, 420kingstown.com, and is like you have to go through, it's private. So like you have to be referred to by someone and a member of the club. And then I have to like review you and like call you and see if that's something that you, someone who could be part of this group.
Right.
And
like a true membership.
Yeah. And that's where I was going back to what we were saying about a comparison of like, that's how I think I'm going to be successful in 20 years of cannabis is I don't know where it's going to come from. It's going to be from this idea because people are going to end up going to rehab for their phones and they're going to need like social private clubs or there's going to be like a private community of people who like who are trying to not be on their phones almost and they want to smoke weed. And that's why people I think are getting into psychedelic mushrooms too. Because they need to like leave. They need like a button to push, which is like eating psilocybin sometimes to like get away from your fucked up whatever's going on in front of you. You know what I mean? To disconnect. We're going to need that times 10 soon.
Yeah. I mean, there are studies that show looking at your phone before you go to bed, having it too close to your head, where you keep it on a day-to-day basis.
I'm so bad at it, man.
Like there's you see the thing on Instagram, it always pops up for me. And I don't know, it's just like, hey, Mike, jump down this rabbit hole. But it's a meter that shows like the microwave coming off of the phone and how it heats up the side of your head. And they're like equate to this, and that. But to me, it's like that shit. Think about it. What's in the airwave now that wasn't 40 years ago, 30 years ago?
Cell phones and shit, like
everything. I mean,
what do they mine to like for the shit? What's it called? Like cobalt?
Yeah. I mean, rare earth minerals.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's a lot of new things that are unexplained.
Or not even new things. They've known about this stuff in the ground forever. New ways to sell it to us. You know? It's like everyone needs this. You know when you're using your maps, you have an iPhone?
Yeah. No, I have a Google phone.
So tell me if they do this on it. When you're using like your map directions, does it tell you when there's traffic ahead?
Yeah, I got Waze, so yeah.
It tells you when there's traffic ahead? You know how all that works?
No.
The GPS in your phone, they know how close the cars are together.
Oh, right, because the computer's in the phone.
So, like, all these phones are now, they were going 70 miles an hour on the road. Now they're all going 40 and they're closer together. There's traffic ahead. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like, what?
We're controlled by these things. Like I said, this is the new, like, our parents that got screwed by, like, certain things. Like, the phone is what's going to kill us.
Mm-hmm. It's killing me right now.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Nah, you could take it, man. It's all good.
Hold on.
We'll take a quick minute here. They'll focus on this in editing for our Patreon members. Ooh, some laughter downstairs. 420kingstown.com. Tonight we got sliders. Mikey's not going to be able to eat it because he has to go home to the family, which we do respect here at 420 Kingstown. Steak and cheese sliders, Impossible meat sliders for the vegetarians. It's going to be a good time. I think it's just sliders. Maybe I have some crinkle cut fries. Oh, you back? Oh. There it is.
Little selfie.
Yeah, show that on the gram, dude. Put it on the gram. Let them know. Let them know it's coming. Oh, is that's the proof? That's proof?
It's proof, yeah. I'm still alive. He didn't kidnap me.
Yeah, right.
I wish you had a newspaper.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, I'm pumped.
So sliders?
Yeah, we're doing sliders. We're doing steak and cheese sliders, Impossible burger sliders on those Hawaiian rolls. Jesus. You know, Josh is doing it. Josh is a pretty good cook.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got the youngster down there. Do you know what's funny? A lot of those kids are young.
Youngster?
There are youngsters. They're like 23 and 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're adults.
Yeah. What did you think? Dude, I know. I don't know when this is going to come out later. Who knows? That Diddy might have killed himself maybe by this time when this comes out.
Oh, boy.
That's what I'm saying, dude. This is a little earlier. So
yeah.
But can't be talking about ages of people at parties. Gotta be careful. Watch out for the diddler.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah. Dude, I had such a terrible conversation with a Christian girl that's like getting out. She's younger. She's like 23, 24. And she's like getting out of her ways of like she grew up Christian and she's like smoking weed and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was talking to her about because she was bringing up Diddy. Mm-hmm. And I was talking.
This was like recent.
Yeah, like the last night. It was last night.
Okay.
Yeah. And she was like, I was like, yeah, well, even the church, right? Like with the priest, you could tell it like hit her. She's like, yeah.
They're all
like,
in on it, dude.
That's what I'm saying. It's like all some fucked up Illuminati child.
Dude, it's the biggest cash crop in the world is human trafficking.
That's so
child
fucked up.
trafficking, human trafficking. I don't know which one, like how they separate it, but human trafficking is a crazy issue.
Yeah.
And what goes along with it is, you know, what you're talking about. The priest, you know,
yeah.
P. Diddy, like
rich people with power.
Yeah.
Which are priests.
Yeah. Oh, who goes to jail for it though? People with no money, with no power.
And then when the people who have money and have power, they all of a sudden kill themselves by accident.
I'm not saying for one second that
maybe
people shouldn't go to jail for it, but everyone should go to jail for it. Who does it?
True.
Everyone.
True.
The law should be blind. She is blind, but the judges aren't. Back to your movie.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Trav, this is where it gets fucked up. That she's like super on heroin.
This whole like this happens every day.
Oh yeah.
Every
Still,
day.
And that was interesting. Like I was telling you,
not to cut you off. Sorry.
That's okay.
This is what I was thinking when you were away, and I said I forgot. I remember now.
Okay.
The government allows things to happen, and then when we do those things that they allow happen, we get in trouble for it. Like, if drugs are so bad, how are you letting them in the country?
Yeah.
And then when someone does it, you put them in the jail that you made for them.
Yeah, it's
and you're like, but you said it was bad, so what the fuck you let it in the country for? Like, dude, we are the American government. You ever seen the Snowden movie?
No, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I know about Snowden. Is it good? It's an Oliver Stone movie, I think, too.
I'm not sure. So there's a couple of them.
Okay, I'm talking about the one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Snowden? What's the
movie called Snowden?
The kid who worked at CIA, the whistleblower.
Yeah, Snowden.
Yeah,
Edward Snowden. No, and the movie's called Snowden.
Edward Snowden. But anyway, like we're infiltrated everything. We know everything that's going on. They're like, no, we're gonna let it happen because if it happens, we got rehab, hospitals, police, jails, judges,
money.
It's fucking nuts.
It's fucked up, man.
That's what it was.
Yeah. You ever seen the show The Deuce?
No.
It's a really good. It's about like how pimping in Manhattan in the 70s turned into the porn industry, and it's the guy who did The Wire.
Okay.
So that's what I was thinking because you're talking about human trafficking.
Wire, but I've been told I need to.
Yeah.
I would like.
Well, it's funny is like they talk about it in season 2, the bridge that just went down in Baltimore. They like talk about the bridge because it's based in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And then it's like Italian families like, this is us. We built this bridge. And like there's a meme that I saw of like,
no, you didn't.
Like
the internet never fails. You know, it's super fast and it's harsh.
It's very funny. But yeah, we'll wrap this up, man. I know you gotta get going. I think it's almost like 7 o'clock or whatever. I feel bad.
No, don't feel bad.
We'll hit this blunt then.
Okay.
And feel better.
I felt great already. So no, but it is crazy. And they say things are bad and then they allow them to happen so people will get in trouble.
Business.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
It's a business. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's what's been like frustrating me that's what I texted you. Where I was like, I just been like, my eyes are like very open to a lot of this bullshit, and I just don't like how.
Well, you can see why people are like capitalism is bad, because you're like, yeah, I see all this horrible shit going on in the idea of capitalism.
Yeah,
it's not real capitalism. That's paying someone so you win all the time. It's cheating.
Capitalism intrigues me though. That's why like 100%. I think and
what's capitalism? You choose what you want to do. You
an independent way of a chase to make money and be successful and use that money.
But you sell what you want to who you want for the price you want.
You're talking about independence.
No, I'm talking about like pure capitalism.
Because if that's capitalism, then aren't you like kind of not allowed to do? That's like they make rules to.
Exactly. You ever hear Elon Musk say the best businessmen are? I don't know the exact quote, but he pretty says the best businessmen are drug dealers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they run a business with no regulation. They go black market people. No regulation. Do what you want. And I understand need for regulations, 100%.
What's funny is
you have people selling, like in this movie, you have people selling drugs that kill people. And that's fucking crazy.
So I was talking to Sam, our producer, who knows like kind of knows that I have a cousin who's the astronaut.
Yeah.
We were talking about that last time. Yeah. So she works with Bezos.
Okay.
And she works at Blue Origin.
Yeah.
So I like to have a different look on Bezos than everyone else does, which is like opened my eyes to a lot of other things to where like everything is who you're around and how opinions get put into
what's
you.
Your view?
My view is that I've watched an interview with him and he talks about a part of this interview with Lex Friedman. It's a really good podcast. It's one of the only podcasts he's ever done. And he talks about business and like how he's doing Blue Origin because he was very good at business. And at Amazon, they focused on 3 things. People want things cheaper. They want to stay at home, and they want to know the sourcing of it. That's what Amazon is. They started reviews. They
know the sourcing.
They want to be. They started the comment section.
Okay.
So like was something that they like birthed. But the point is that he talked about how he's doing Blue Origin because like their idea about it is that they want to put their money instead of taxes into like the future is interstellar travel type of thing. They're like they're modern day like Alexanders, like Greek war, like people who paved the way of like they know that we're fucking up this planet and that if they put all this money into this instead of taxes and corrupt government, then they will be able to make a difference.
For sure.
And so he was like, this is what we'll wrap it up because we're getting close to it. This is my point where he said, if you want to make money, sell salty snacks. And you were saying this downstairs, right? You were talking about like how like they can sell Doritos and like they figure out a great way. It's just fucked up shit. So and they put things in it to stay hungry and eat Doritos and fuck your body up.
Yep.
And those companies probably are invested in the companies that sell insulin.
100%, dude. And like I said, BlackRock, Vanguard.
Just like judges are invested in private prisons. We're going to end on that so we don't get in trouble. Yeah.